Williamsville Sports Weekly is brought to you by your local country financial representative, Ed Legner. Please contact Ed for all your insurance and financial planning needs. His office is located at 318 Crossing Drive in Sherman, and he can be reached at 217-496-2341. But for now, enjoy the show. Welcome to Williamsville Sports Weekly, an in-depth look at both BB and Bullet athletics, hosted by our athletic director Adam Euchre and former Lady Bullets basketball coach John Hampton.
Welcome to Williamsville Sports Weekly, presented by Ed Legner, Country Insurance Financial Representative for Sherman, Illinois. You can visit Ed for all your insurance and financial needs. John, I haven't talked in a while. I had some spring break in there, plus a spring like I know at least I've never seen with the amount of cancellations, and then we get some warm weather, then there's snow. There's snow in the forecast again on Sunday here, and it's just like we've said before, a perfect storm, but literally a perfect storm where all I've been doing is rescheduling, even over spring break. Fortunately, for softball, we've gotten 12 games in. A number of JV games gotten canceled, which I didn't really want for softball, but we've kind of moved some things around. Baseball, they've gotten 12 games in. They had a tough loss to Jacksonville route last night. Soccer, they had to cancel a game, which is kind of unheard of. Mm-hmm. That was because of some snow, but they did a great job getting the field ready the day after Easter against Pleasant Plains out there, taking snow off the field. The girls were out there with Coach Fandel, but it's just been nuts. And the thing is like with you as a basketball coach, you never had to worry about that.
Right.
Right. Maybe if depending on where you were at, if you had to cancel school, you wouldn't have been able to play. Fortunately here, we don't just automatically do that. We kind of look at the entire situation, and we make an assessment later on in the day. But that's spring sports. It's difficult with that.
Yeah, it's tough because you're at the mercy of the weather, obviously, and they do such a good job in March. These our spring programs, even in February, getting ready indoors. But after a while, boy, you got to be able to get outside and get your reps in outside and get those games in. I tell you, it's amazing we have 12 games in for baseball and softball. I mean that's an amazing number. You would never guess we'd have 12 games in already, with the weather. I would assume no one else has more than 12 games in that of our opponents. But it's one of those odd years. There's going to be a blizzard and ice storm go through Minnesota and Chicago this weekend, and hopefully we'll be since we're south of it, we'll just get some rain, but. Yeah, and I can't imagine it's like you're doing almost like a Rubik's Cube of trying to get those games put into the schedules. And what you don't want to play six, especially in baseball. You want to play 6 games in a week. You're thinking about arms and innings now with the innings limit with the IHSA, and some of that comes into play too. And with softball, it's a little bit different with the pitching, but it's tough. And when you're a track athlete, you don't want to go out and you don't want to have your athletes running, especially sprints. In 40-degree weather, 45-degree weather, you're talking about muscle pulls and things like that. But hopefully things will turn around. I know the extended forecast from Tuesday on is at least in the 50s, so hopefully we'll get a little break here coming.
Yeah, I think we got teased a little bit the last 2 days, and even this morning, it's kind of turned a little bit here as this cold front starts to make its way through. But I had a number of reschedules listed on the website, and finally I just took it off there and just put a Word document up with a link, and I'm going to update it from there. So even at the end of the show, we're not going to go through all the games because there's just too many to figure out. But that's even the thing too. Our big thing is we're not only worried about the varsity teams this year, we're worried about the varsity teams 2-3 years down the road, and that's why the JV and underclass schedules are so important. And I do my best to try to reschedule those JV games because I feel it's just as important. And it's not fair to those kids to have those games canceled. And we're scheduling those, and if we can make it work with the other teams and finding officials, because that's a whole nother issue. Yep. With an official shortage that we have out there right now, we're trying to make a reschedule of all those games because those kids deserve it just as much as the ones that are competing for postseason with regionals and sectionals coming up within a month time frame here.
And that's, you mentioned 2 things that are tough. One is we're kind of known for having like a full JV schedule, and you've gotten softball to where they're getting more full JV schedule. Some schools are just they won't put that time and effort into it, so you're really wanting to get those games rescheduled. One, they have to fit into the opponent's schedule, and 2, do they really want it, or they put as much effort and time into trying to, or have much care to get those JV games in? So you have to merge on that fact, and getting officials, which is tough because your schedule's getting tighter, and so's theirs. So are these these umpires' schedules are getting tighter, so they don't have as many open dates. And again, now with the umpire shortage, official shortage, it's even tougher and tougher. So there's a lot of factors that go in besides just saying, hey, are you open on Tuesday? We're open on Tuesday. Let's go. It's a lot tougher to do than, someone like me or from the outside saying, just look at 2 schedules. There's open dates. Let's do it. Now you got to find umpires. Now you got to try to do your JV games. I mean, it's like I said, it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube. You're just always trying to fit pieces in. You don't know where they're going to fit.
Like I said, you can just go to the main page of the website, wcsd15.org, and right there at the top of the page, there's an announcement about all the cancellations. Just click on that link there for anything that's been changed, and we'll continue to put that out there, as well as on Twitter at WCSD15Sports. One other thing I wanted to mention here real quickly, you're getting back in coaching for one day coming up here. One of the guys that coached underneath you, Brian Brooks over at St. Joe Ogden, stepping down after at the end of this school year. He's going to continue to be superintendent, but I guess kind of the old gang's getting back together with you and Jeff Koger and Brian coaching in an all-star game. So talk to us a little bit about how special that is, because I know you were excited when you told me about it the other day.
It's Brian Brooks. They asked him to coach the Illinois Basketball Coach Association all-star game, the South team. His son Jordan was selected to play. So it's going to be it's perfect. He's going to get to go out the last game he coaches. He gets to coach his son in the state all-star game. And Brian started his boys basketball coaching career at Riverton when Jeff Koger was the head coach over there and had a lot of success. And then when Jeff left, I took over, and Brian was my assistant for 2 years. And we've stayed really close, and it's pretty neat that someone. It was 2003 when he left, so it's been 15 years since we coached together, and really 17 since he coached with Jeff. But it's really special when a friendship could last that long. And then Brian and he only gets 2 assistant coaches, so Brian asked us if we'd coach with him one more game, and it was really neat. And both me and Jeff are just we're just totally surprised that he would ask us, and it means a lot. And you talk about loyalty, a friendship and loyalty with colleagues and things like that, and that's the ultimate show of loyalty and friendship. And we'll have a lot of fun. And I mean, I think back to Jordan being 2 years old, sitting on my lap during JV games while Brian was coaching and I was the varsity coach. And it just everything kind of comes full circle. And we'll have a lot of fun that weekend. It's nice that Jordan's getting to play. And like you said, it's kind of hard to explain how just a 2-year friendship has led to like a lifelong friendship. And this kind of culminates, and we'll have a lot of fun. And we're also looking forward to Jordan's going to play here at Lincoln Land. We're going to get to go see a lot of games together, watch him play over in Springfield here at Lincoln Land. And but it's one of those things that sometimes you get kind of down and good things happen to you. It's one of those things you get to look forward to, and bigger than the job, bigger than coaching, and it'll be a lot of fun. And I don't Brian would ever hear this, but just so thankful that he would involve us, and just makes you feel good. You got good friends out there, and that's all I got to say. It's really hard to talk about because it's just really cool that we'll be a part of that.
And where will that game be at then?
It's at Pontiac High School. It's on June 9th, and it's the South 1A 2A All Stars versus the North 1A 2A All Stars. The one area connection is Benji. Is it Aker from Auburn? He got selected to play. So it'll be fun. You go up there on Friday, check in, have a walkthrough, have a banquet, and then really Saturday's another walkthrough, and there's a cookout, and then all of a sudden you go play your game, and it'll be cool. It'll be a lot of fun, and it'll be one of those things where you'll have pictures and be mementos to remember for a long time for all of us getting back together and coaching.
And obviously with athletics and being a part of those activities, there's those bonds built, and we're going to talk about that with Coach Ashbaugh in the next segment, as she's got this big group of seniors, 10 seniors on the softball team. We'll be talking to a few of them in the player segment. But that program, they can't be known as the last team to win a state title. Scholastic Bowl won, as we had talked about on the last episode, back on episode 111, as we sat down with Jared Owens and Mitch McCullough and Coach Trimpe. But, I talk with Coach Ashbaugh on this, and I'll ask the girls too. It seems like that pressure that they had last year maybe isn't there so much right now. And I think, with having so much hype when they were juniors, I think that was probably a good thing for them to go through that, because now they can almost relish and enjoy these moments as they go through, and they've already kind of dealt with that pressure that they had, and maybe that not meeting that expectation, and then knowing now they have another opportunity to meet that goal as they work towards the postseason coming up here in about a month ago.
Oh, I agree. I mean, it's one of those things that, you go through struggles, it makes you tougher, builds up a little scar tissue, and now the little things, I'm sure, just kind of roll off their back. They're like, well, we got a goal, and we're going to go try to do it. And worst thing that happened to us, we'll lose a ball game like we did last year, and we know life goes on. And they're more mature, and I'm really looking forward to see. I got a bunch of them in class this year, and they're just so mature, and they just handle things so well. And I'm really looking forward to see how they do in their postseason run. You hope that we've got about a month left here. Things just go smooth. Play some games. If you lose some, you lose some. Learn from it and be healthy as you enter the postseason. But I really think even with the Scholastic Bowl team winning, I do think that it's like, okay, somebody else here won the state. Somebody else ran through the state tournament in their field and just blew the competition out, and it's possible to go do that because we've had so many teams that are contenders in the last 5-6 years. And you run into somebody a little bit better, and you or something happens. And after a while, it's almost like, boy, state title is almost really impossible to achieve. It's been done this year. It wasn't an athletic field, but it was in an academic setting where they just ran through the competition. That shows that, their colleagues, their friends in class, they went out and did that. They beat the entire state. So I think that may help a little bit too. Just if you talk about being relaxed, well, it's been done this year. We can go win a state tournament. So we know they have the ability to do it, and there's other teams out there to do as well, and it always takes some breaks. But this is a team that can do that.
Well, and if you look at what they've done so far, they've already been in some adverse situations. I'll take the Mount Zion game that they just won the other night. That ended up winning 7-4. They were down 4-0 going into the fifth inning. They got 6 runs. So, and I talked to Emma Walbert about it, and she's like, we just went out there and played. We knew eventually we were going to get our breaks, and we were going to keep, we're going to swing. We're going to eventually, get something out there in the field to play, and we're going to get some runners in, and they just don't panic.
Yeah,
almost very similar to what we saw with basketball this year. I never felt boys basketball ever panicked, regardless of who they were down against, and that goes to being in situations and having had high expectations before. But it's going to be a fun run, as we go through here.
No doubt. And these kids, I mean, they've played against great competition also in the summer too, and then they all come back here and they get back together. They've been playing since they were in 6th grade. And a lot of these travel teams play together too. But like you said, I've said they've built up some scar tissue. They lost in a sectional game, at Tri-City. When they play Tri-City again, there'll be a little more impetus to, try to get some revenge in that situation. Like you said, they go to Gillespie playing the sectional this year. If they make it to the sectional, they've lost there before. They've seen these places before. Nothing's new to them. So, it's just like in your job. Your second year, you're better than your first year. Your third year, you should be better than your second year. You've seen these situations before. You know how to react. So, I'm excited to see how they play. We know how they're going to play well, but how they handle that adversity, that's a big key. But they've seen adversity before. So
it's definitely going to be a fun run, not only for them, but for all of our spring sports. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at WCSD15Sports for all your news and score updates on both BB and Bullet Athletics throughout the 17-18 school year. Facebook as well, facebook.com/WHS. And you can follow stuff that's going on with the high school and athletics on there as well. And then obviously this podcast, Williamsville Sports Weekly, go to iTunes, subscribe to us so it comes to your podcast feed every week. If you don't have iTunes, you can go to the main page of the website, WCSD15.org, click on the athletics tab, episode 112 here, and all the past 111 episodes are there on the left-hand side of the page. When we return, we'll be joined by head softball coach Mindy Ashbaugh.
Next time you're in the market for insurance or financial planning, stop by and see Country Financial Representative Ed Legner at 318 Crossing Drive in Sherman, or give him a call at 217-496-2341. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Williamsville Sports Weekly, presented by Ed Legner, Country Insurance Financial Representative out of Sherman, Illinois. You can visit Ed for all your insurance and financial needs. Haven't been on in a while, as John and I talked about at the top of the show, just because of how spring break went in and then different schedules and stuff. And sitting here right now with head softball coach Mindy Ashbaugh, and you kind of feel the same way, where we just can't get in a groove this spring because of this weather. So kind of talk to us about that. You're sitting undefeated right now, and I know talking with Coach Buttery the other day, he kind of had a shocking loss to New Berlin, first time in 10 years that they'd lost to them. And sometimes that stuff happens because you just can't get in a groove. So talk to us about that, about how this has been just one of the oddest springs we've seen, and what you've been trying to do to keep your girls focused and not get them frustrated with having so many cancellations.
Right. It has been a very unusual spring. I feel like we have been outside, but it's been to play games. And so yesterday, being on our field for the first time for a practice felt like the first day of the season all over again. Everybody was just like so excited to be outside and to see the sun and to actually be on the field in a practice situation. And I think by this point in time, normally you're about done with practice. You're just ready to play and you want to play. And we've been looking so forward to having an outside practice. Luckily, we've been able to get in more games than most of the teams in our area. We've played 10 so far, and I know there are several schools sitting at 2 or 3. So it just seems like we've had to be creative because we've been stuck inside for practice more than usual. So just kind of keeping it fun, keeping it light, doing a lot of small group stuff and moving them in and out of the front gym and the back gym. Luckily, our facilities, let us do a lot of things even though we are stuck inside. And it's been okay. It's been frustrating, I think, but we've just tried to tell the girls we can only control what we can control, and so let's make sure that whatever we're doing inside today, we don't have any regrets that we didn't do the most that we could on this day.
We'll talk about the games that we've been able to get in and the process that kind of you and I go through with rescheduling and looking at what games we can reschedule. But let's talk about inside practice, because you talked about facilities, and most people have not been in our facilities. Talk to us about what you have to do to balance with baseball and what we can and can't do on the inside compared to most schools.
Well, I think Coach Buttery and I think we work really, really well together, and it's a lot of give and take, but it usually works out in both of our favors. If one of us wants to go late, the other one's fine with going early, and vice versa. We do morning practices if we don't play on Fridays, so that's kind of been like our set in stone type of thing. So if there is bad weather on a Friday, he can go right after school. We have the back gym that has 2 cages and a ton of space, and so we can do all of our hitting back there. We can work defense and throwing and pitching and catching in the front gym. That gives us, we have 26 girls, so if we're all practicing at the same time, it allows us to break them up into, a group hitting and then a group working on defense. It's probably the worst for the outfielders. We try and do as much as we can with, outfield drills, but it's probably the hardest position to practice inside. They turn into being our base runners a lot of times. And then, we try and reward them with some fun games and things. But it's probably hardest on the outfielders.
Well, you mentioned the cage and stuff. Total, we have basically 4 cages.
Yeah, 2 in and 2 out.
So, and then the outside one's obviously that field turf that we put in there. So a lot of great ways that we can still get work in, even though we know it's frustrating. We're extremely fortunate compared to most schools where they just, probably can just do some infield work in their gym, and they don't have the 2 gyms that we have. So,
and I'm a really big practice planner, and so things are planned down, to the minute most of the time, just to keep the girls moving and not have a lot of downtime to kind of sulk about being inside yet again.
Now, with the amount of cancellations we've had, we've said we're sitting at 10-0 right now. Get to go out on the field today as we're recording this on Wednesday the 11th. Rescheduled game against Mount Zion. Yep. Beautiful weather outside. Talk to the audience about the process, about what you and I, and even then you and the other team, about how we determine, are we going to cancel, are we going to reschedule, what do we look at here, and also with that the facility that we have where we can probably get in games when most schools can't.
Yeah, we are really lucky with our field, and we have a great resource in Chuck Walbert, who helps to make sure that our field is playable 99% of the time. We were on it yesterday. I mean, it was as wet as it was by the time 4:30 rolled around. We were on the infield, so we're really lucky there. A lot of times the coach and I will talk, texting or email. We kind of have each other's numbers. Those of us that have been around for just a little while know each other. And like with the Mount Zion game, talking to Coach Blakey over there, they wanted to play. And so they didn't want to postpone it or wait to get on the road. They got on the road and they showed up. And we did everything we could to try and play it, but we got that second round of rain that wasn't supposed to come, and they ended up just doing a little practice in our outfield. We did a little practice in the right field, and then they got back on their bus and went home. But, he wanted to come and try and get it in. So we're going over there today, even though it's our home game. We'll be home on the scoreboard, but we're going to go over there because our JV is going to play at the same time. And then I think as far as reschedules go, it's just kind of wait and see and hope.
Well, we try to get in as many as we can. Obviously, with the reschedule, the thing we have to start worrying about is conferences and making sure those games get in. But the other thing that we have to worry about that other schools don't is the amount of players that we have.
Right.
And, we have a large number of separate JV games, so then we have to take those into consideration too. So, obviously, we're very fortunate, and sometimes we get frustrated where we can't get things in. But then I think both you and I look, and the entire coaching staff is, our problems are good problems to have.
Yeah, very good problems to have. We say that all the time when we're trying to decide how do we get at the JV level, how do we get everybody into a game, like good problems to have. Which JV players are going to dress varsity for this game or that game? Again, good problems to have. So we're really lucky.
Obviously, your program cannot hold the moniker right now of being the last program to win a state title. You guys obviously were the first with 1995, the only girls program to win it. It was the only one in school history until recently with Scholastic Bowl capturing the state title. And they were kind of in the same boat you guys were with coming in with extremely high expectations this year. Obviously, they finished second in state last year. You guys lost in the sectional final here at Jane Grebner Field in a very dramatic game to Tri-City. How are you guys as a coaching staff handling that pressure? Because obviously this group of girls, they won state as 8th grade. People have kind of been watching this group coming up, saying this is going to be the next group that captures that state title. How do you handle that pressure as a coaching staff? And also, how do you transfer that down to the girls to just make sure, hey, this is just another game. It's, it's one step at a time.
Sure. It's really interesting. It's probably going to sound weird, but I feel like last year there was an enormous amount of pressure on us. And last year was almost treated like the 10 seniors that we have now were seniors. I think sometimes people lost sight of the fact that they were just juniors and that they had one more year with our program. That being said, thinking about how our season ended last year earlier than we wanted it to by not winning, the sectional championship, first day of practice this year, our first team meeting, we kind of went back. We watched the 1450 clip from that game. We kind of talked about the elephant in the room, I guess you could say, and spent a lot of time looking at everything that we had to do before we got back to another sectional championship game this year. All of the little things that we needed to do along the way, and trying to really get the girls to understand and to buy into the fact that that can't be the only thing that we think about. And because we did lose that game to Tri-City, who is a local team, and they're on our schedule in a regular season game, getting them to understand that wasn't the only game on the schedule that they could be looking forward to either. So we spent a lot of time looking at all of the little things, all of the days that we had practice leading up to our first game, all of the games week by week, and not looking ahead to what somebody might consider a big game. Because for us, every game has to be a big game, or you're going to have unexpected losses like you just referred to with the New Berlin, baseball game. And if you let down even for a second, you run the risk of somebody beating you. And although losing isn't necessarily the worst thing that could happen, you want to make sure that if you lose, you did everything you could to make sure that you put yourself in the best position to win, and that you got beat and didn't lose it on your own. So it was a lot of talking at the beginning of the season. It was a lot of watching the video clip and kind of just getting over that angst and frustration of what could have been. And then we let it go. And we really haven't talked about it since. It's in the past, and the only thing we can worry about is what we have in front of us today.
Well, and, talking about making sure that we think every game's a big game. When we go somewhere, someone comes here, this is like
Yep.
people's Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And having that target on your back, obviously that increases that heightened sense of awareness with the girls as well, too.
It does, and we say that all the time. That we're a lot of teams. Their biggest game, but also some of them they're our biggest game too. And so the respect is mutual. But I think we do, just because of the history and tradition of our program, kind of have that target on our back. But we're in an interesting position this year because we, we're kind of hunting instead of just being hunted. Like, we have something to prove, and we have a lot to lose this year. And so I think there is a little more sense of just getting down to business.
Looking back at that loss, do you think there was maybe some extra pressure with that because we played that game at home? And do you think it would have been different if we had played it on the road?
I don't know. I mean, I've relived that game probably every day for the last 300 days. And I don't know. I don't know. And you really just can't spend your time doing that and trying to second guess what could have been or should have been, or if I had done that, or if they had done this or that or whatever. So it's in the past, and that's really all I can say. I don't know if it would have been good, bad, or indifferent if it had been somewhere else, if it had been someone else. But it is what it is. And it's made us who we are now. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a part of who we are. So. And
obviously, I'm a firm believer in, fate and things. Everything happens for a reason. And I think, all of us have to go through a growing process. Mm-hmm. And I think for you guys, like you said, that's kind of been yours. Yep. So, with hosting stuff, whether it's with you guys or anything really, I guess, besides football, because they kind of determine if it's going to be home or away. But with hosting, we always try to get postseason. We're very fortunate to get the regional again this year. Yep. I can't even remember where the sectional is going to be
Gillespie.
At. So, another chance for some redemption there. Right. So a lot of things, when you think about it in big picture, and I just kind of got goosebumps, when you said that there's a lot of things here that have kind of lined up, which can be extremely special. I know you've talked about that with these girls. So,
and we've really tried to tell them, like, they need to enjoy every single minute of this and every single little thing that happens, because it is their last time. We kind of joked, like, it's the last time you get on a bus to go here, or a last time that you do this for the first time, the first day of practice, and those sorts of things. So we really want them to enjoy it and to remember it, because it is special. They've been together for a long time.
Well, let's kind of end with that here. This class you've had since 6th grade.
Yeah.
I look back, and I haven't coached as long. I didn't coach football as long as you've been coaching softball, but I had a class where I followed them through. I got them as freshmen, and then I didn't know it at the time, but their last game was my last game coaching, and I got to follow them through. Just talk to us about this class a little bit, and I know you may get a little emotional, which is okay. But that class that I had, I still, try to keep in contact with them and, see what they're doing. And obviously this class, regardless of what happens, because we can't predict the future, we only can control what we can control, will always be special to you. So kind of just talk to us about that.
And I think that they're not just special because they're such good softball players and because we won a state tournament together when they were in 8th grade and because they, do phenomenal things on the field currently. They're just so much fun. And as a group, I feel like we've all gotten to know each other so well. And I don't know. There aren't words for it. It's just really, really special. And I think that when you have, because there's so many of them, and we've been together, for 7 seasons, they become like your kids, like your surrogate kids. And I know last year on Mother's Day, several of them texted me, Happy Mother's Day, thanks for treating us like your own kids. And I don't know that you get that all the time. Not that you treat grades differently, but sometimes there's just something in a group that makes them special. And we're really lucky, Coach Meade has been along for the ride the entire time too. he was with them in 6th grade, he came in 8th grade, and then through high school. And so it's been kind of a fun reunion in that respect as well. But they're just a lot of fun, and they're a riot, and they're pranksters, and they've really, I think, set good examples for the younger kids and tried to kind of show them the ropes for when they're gone, because they're going to leave more than just their record and, how far they go into the postseason. They're going to kind of set the tone for the program for the future. And that's kind of some big stuff. And I'm going to miss them, but I'm really glad that we still have quite a bit of time together.
Obviously, regardless of what happens as we move forward here through the rest of the spring season, they've left a huge impact. We always challenge each class, what's that legacy you're going to leave? And obviously we have banners and things like that, but we always try to say, besides that, what's that legacy? And obviously this, 2018 softball group has a huge footprint on this program. So, but like you said, a lot more season left to play, even though looking at the calendar right now, we're about a month from postseason,
I know,
which is so hard to believe.
It's crazy to think we've only played 10 games, but it looks like today and tomorrow is going to be good, and then hopefully next week's going to be good, and we're getting into the the meat of our season here, so hopefully we can get on a roll and kind of get in a groove, find some rhythm.
Well, before we let you go, Coach, anything else you'd like to add or tell the listeners out there?
No, I would just say, always, if they haven't caught a game, schedule's up online and come out and watch a game. The girls are a lot of fun. We've got a great JV schedule too, so if you want to see some of the younger kids, you'll see some good games there as well.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. When we return, we'll be joined by some of the seniors out of this class of 10 for the 2018 softball season.
Next time you're in the market for insurance or financial planning, stop by and see Country Financial Representative Ed Legner at 318 Crossing Drive in Sherman, or give him a call at 217-496-2341. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Williamsville Sports Weekly, presented by Ed Legner, Country Insurance Financial Representative from Sherman, Illinois. You can visit Ed for all your insurance and financial needs. Sitting with us right now are 4 out of the 10 seniors for the Lady Bullets softball team: Kaylee Mosher, Peyton Long, Mackenzie McCormick, Emma Walbert. And I'm sure the exciting thing for you guys is you have the opportunity right now to play 3 games in a row. This spring, I know it's been frustrating for you guys. For me, it's been unbelievably frustrating with the amount of reschedules and stuff. But the thing I want to ask you, and we'll start over here with Mac and Emma, how is it to not be able to get in a groove at this point with having so many cancellations and then being inside so much? How do you guys get past, I guess, the boringness of being inside and then the frustration of stuff being canceled all the time?
Coach really preaches on just keep bringing the energy, even when we're inside. It's totally out of our control, so we're just trying to stay together and just keep doing what we're doing, inside or outside. I mean, like she says, always it's completely out of our control, so we're just trying to make the most of it because this is our last year, but we didn't want this to happen, but it is, so we have to deal with it.
I mean, it's just like what Emma said. I mean, it's hard to stay inside all the time, but Coach, I mean, she always has a different thing to do every day, and it's just a different day, so we just try to push.
Now we're sitting at 12-0 right now, which, I mean, it's amazing to think with as bad as the weather's been, we've gotten 12 games in. And last year, and tell me if I'm out in left field on this here, but I think last year there was a lot more pressure than this year. And I go back to a game this week. You guys are playing Mount Zion. You're down 4-0, I think, going into the top of the 6th, right? You guys end up scoring 6 runs, beating them 7-4. But how was going through the pressure of last year, the disappointment of last year, and then even the disappointment the year before, and we'll talk about Gillespie here in a second, but how did that prepare you guys for this year, maybe even lift some weight off your shoulders?
Last year we had a lot of oh, you guys are going to win state this night. You guys have such a good chance, this and that. And this year it's been kind of more laid back. There hasn't been so much of the I guess, hype around us and pressure and this and that getting to our heads and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's been nice to just kind of actually be by ourselves, like not having everybody come up to us and say all those comments, which, I mean, we take them well when they do, but other than that, I mean, this year's been different about that.
I think just what's happened the past previous years, we're just trying to use it as more of a motivation aspect. I mean, yeah, nothing went our way, but I mean, just like I said before, we're just trying to go out on a bang and just, not even focus on softball, just the little things, just enjoy everything that happens to us and just make the most of it.
I also think that we were trying like really hard for like the seniors above us, like Callie and all of them. We wanted them to like have the chance to go to state and stuff. So like we wanted to have that opportunity with them. But like this year, like all 10 of us, like yeah, we won it, but we're just not as pressured as we were last year.
Now, Emma, you brought up bringing, enjoying this. Mac, like when you like maybe go to a place for the last time or do this for the last time, does that go through your memory? Are you like relishing and cherishing this more than in past seasons, maybe even more so than even with basketball?
Yeah, definitely this year, because it is our senior year and some of us aren't. Like, I'm not playing softball next year, so I'm definitely taking in every memory this season. And like with basketball, just trying to remember everything, and because it's such a good group of girls.
Now, obviously there's 10 of you, 7 of you are going on to play. And you guys are representing the program right now. I mean, you guys are the big dogs, and you would have watched other teams go up through, Peyton watching your sister play, and what I think that's kind of cool. And I'll have you comment on in a second with her helping out with the program a little bit last year. But how, like looking back when you guys were growing up and watching Williamsville softball, how special is it now to kind of be able to make history and leave your mark? And you guys have already left your mark. You've done a lot of great things, but even to leave a stamp even more at this point.
When I was younger, watching Haley and Brinley Donnelly and all them play, like it was just like awesome. Because Haley, my sister, she was awesome, and just watching like her play for Coach Grubner, it was like a different level. So it's just really cool to be able to watch them and how they perform and stuff and learn from them.
I think when you're little, you always come and people always know what Williamsville softball is all about. And when you're that younger kid, you always remember coming to the softball field and just like idolizing these high school girls. And now that we're in their shoes and you see little girls come into our games, I think it's just, there's no words to really describe that feeling.
Now, we just obviously had a group of kids win a state tournament in Scholastic. First time to do it since 1995. Your guys' program doesn't have the moniker right now of being the last program to win a state title. Does that give you guys added motivation and added excitement to add another one this year? And also, does that kind of give you even less pressure knowing that we had a group of kids go up and just blow the doors off everyone in their series that was in front of them?
I mean, we definitely want to add another state title to Williamsville, but we all 10 of us played 8th grade year in one state then, and I mean, it's kind of just something that we wanted to do again, like all of us for our last thing before we all leave for college, to have that one big memory again with all of us, because none of us are really ready to leave anybody. So I mean, yeah, we're definitely pushing for that, but we have to make every step first.
I don't think our goal is to win a state title, but I think there's a lot of little things that go into that big dream. So Coach really preaches, like, if you do the little things, like, those big dreams will come. And I think the little things are just as important as, you can sit here and wish, we want to win state, we hope we win state. But I think, like, our main goal, like, right now is, like, we want to win the game tonight. And every step of the way is just part of the process.
And that's one thing that Coach Ashbaugh talked about in the last segment is, River to tonight, that's the biggest game of the year. And then going into next week on Monday, Rochester start off, that's the biggest game of the year. And I think you guys have done that, and you're not looking past anyone. And I think that's, that's, you can see that a little bit differently than last year. And that's what happens when you go through stuff. And, as Coach Hampton talked about at the top of the show, you guys have scar tissue built up. You had a disappointment at Gillespie, and we have a chance to go back there again in sectionals, as that's where it's at. Obviously, Tri-City, another opportunity coming up May 4th here at Jane Grebner Field. Regionals again, so a lot of things that you guys have with it. One last thing before we go, though. Looking back now, obviously, you guys are sitting senior year. We're about a month away from graduation at this point. Whether it was softball or another sport, what do you think will be your fondest memory when you guys leave here in a month's time?
I think softball, just being around all my friends on a softball team and just hanging out with them for my last time. Hopefully I'll see them. I'll play against Bert and them in college, but just being with them right now and playing softball with them.
Us 10 seniors, we've been together ever since 6th grade year. We've always played together. A lot of us play together during the summer, this and that. So there's definitely a special bond built up between all 10 of us, and I think none of us are really ready to leave each other. So this and that, and I mean it's definitely going to be hard, but hopefully go out with some big wins.
Most of my memories are definitely going to be more of the bus rides. Even a coach would say, you're not going to remember some of the mistakes you made during the games, but you're going to remember after it and how you celebrated and all of that. And that's what I'm going to remember the most.
I think going along with Mac is what Coach always says is you're not going to remember if you win a certain game. You're not going to remember every conference game you play. It's more of those bus rides. For me, I like pranking Coach. So, I will always remember us pulling pranks on her coming to the field, to the gym, and nobody's there with her, just pre-games. And I just think that's a memory that'll stick with me forever.
I won't ask any of the guilty parties, but I heard you guys pulled one I guess Easter Eve, which would have been April Fool's. So,
she did not think it was coming.
Yeah, so innocent till proven guilty, I guess we'd say on that. So, well, girls, once again, we wish you guys the best of luck moving on to the next season. My best piece of advice to you, just cherish every moment of this, okay? This is a very special place. You guys are a special group. Hold on to all this because you're creating memories that'll last for a lifetime with it. I know it's a cliche and you've heard that before, but really do that. Before we let you go, is there anything else you guys want to add or tell the listeners out there?
Thank you for having us, and thank you to all of my teammates. We're just going to try to live this out, and I know we're going to do some great things. The coaches, they've been there, and we're going to keep pushing, and they've been awesome, and just my parents for always pushing me and putting me in this position and making me the person I am today.
I just want to thank my parents. They've always been there for me, been helping me out. My teammates especially, even on defense, they're always there for me. They're always backing me up. And my coaches especially. I mean, they push us all the time, and they're just great. Thank you.
Again, thanks for joining us, and I do want to thank my parents for softball, just being able to play in general and supporting me throughout summers and school, and all my teammates, creating a bunch of different memories that I'm going to remember forever, and obviously our coaches for teaching us how to play.
First, I want to start off by thanking my parents definitely for all of the time and money and everything that they spent into it, because pretty much now it's all revolved, our life's all revolved around sports. And then my teammates for sure for always being there for me, pushing me to my best, pushing me to my limits to make me better, all of that. And then coaches for making this possible, for sticking with us even when it's hard and even when we get on their nerves and this and that. But yes, thank you to all of them.
Your parents are a big part of this. I'm in that spot now with three of mine playing softball and having to travel to places like Mason City to play a T-ball game. It's a little rough sometimes. So your parents have been a big part of it, and I see that now with my 5 girls. So girls, once again, best of luck. We know you're going to do great things. You've already been a great representative of the community, and you've left a huge impact on there, and I know your journey's not done yet. When we return, we'll take a look ahead at the week coming up for both the BBs and the Bullets.
Next time you're in the market for insurance or financial planning, stop by and see Country Financial Representative Ed Legner at 318 Crossing Drive in Sherman, or give him a call at 217-4 888-496-2341. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Williamsville Sports Weekly, presented by Ed Legner, Country Insurance Financial Representative out of Sherman, Illinois. You can visit Ed for all your insurance and financial needs. Little throwback to some early 80s WWF there with I'm a Real American. Hulk Hogan's entrance music. Just had WrestleMania last weekend, and I was excited in the office here. As I was just talking with Mrs. Clark as her and her family watched the Andre the Giant documentary last night on HBO. So anytime that I can tie something into pro wrestling, I will. So I felt like I had to throw that I'm a Real American on there from Rick Derringer that Hogan started to use in the mid-'80s to come out. So I always love to tie that stuff in. If you ever come to any of our games, I have some old pro wrestling entrance music that we use as some of our interludes during timeouts and stuff. I know I have some Macho Man in there, some Jake the Snake, some Ultimate Warrior, Stone Cold Steve Austin. So always love to do that stuff because that was a big part of my childhood and a big part of memories that I have growing up. And, you know, talking with the 4 seniors out of those 10 in the last segment, that was a big thing that they talked about too, is these memories that they're going to have when this season's over. And the thing that's so cool, and I brought that up, with them in pressure, because Coach Ashbaugh talked about it not being there, and they can feel it too. How it's not even there, and they're playing really loose right now. Things don't get to them. We mentioned that Mount Zion game being down 4-0 going into the 6th. They come out and score 6 runs, win 7-4. To continue on being undefeated, but you can tell that they're cherishing every moment. And I wish we could show you a video of them as they were talking. But you could see just in their eyes and in the emotion in their faces, they're just this is a very special season to them, with having been together since 6th grade, and 7 of them going on to play collegiate softball. It's just important with them to cherish these and create these memories. And you don't like to get too far ahead of yourself, but I think we'll be celebrating some stuff come here end of May, beginning of June, with them bringing home some hardware. You never know, but they're definitely on a mission. And as we talked about, there's some redemption things that can happen, and I believe everything happens for a reason. And the situations that they have gone through so far to get to this point, obviously, have made them ready for this stage and for the goals that they have set forth. So I have an opportunity to catch them tonight over in Riverton as that make-up Sagamore game. I'm not going to go through all the games that we have on the docket or any of the reschedules like I talked about at the top of the hour, just because there are so many, but you can keep up to date with that on Twitter at WCSD15 Sports, not only for those changes and those reschedules, but news and score updates both on BBM Bold Athletics for the 17-18 school year. We will continue to post changes to those rescheduled events on the main page of the website and on the athletic page, WCSD15.org. There's a link that says 2018 spring athletic changes and reschedules. You can just click on that document. It'll be updated throughout the season as we have more. For sure, I know, especially with the weather this weekend and the weather next week. So hopefully things hold off. But come out to the Diamond, whether it's seeing baseball or softball at Jane Grebner Field, track at Don Williams Track, girls soccer, junior high track. A lot of great things going on. And it's like I said, it's hard to believe we're about a month away from postseason. Until next week, though, remember, it's always better to be a Bullet.